So welcome to my channel once again. My name is David Streggy. I run Movies Galore of Milwaukee. I also run Inside Movies Galore, where we discuss films of all nature with some people from Milwaukee and some people from elsewhere. And some friends of mine have actually that I should start videotaping my collection. And for many years, I wondered why people would do that. But I'm going to see what you guys think of my collection and go from there. I'm interested in seeing what you guys think of it. So I'm going to start with my box sets that I have here. Give me a moment. So one of the things that I actually picked up was this. This is a collection of Akira Kurosawa works. It's got Rashomon, Seventh Samurai, Sanshiro Sugata, Soku Sugata Sanshiro, Stray Dog, The Idiot, No Regrets for Our Youth, One Wonderful Sunday, Ikaru, Throne of Blood, The Hidden Fortress, The Bad Sleepwell, The Quiet Duel, Scandal, Yojimbo, Sanjuro, High and Low, and Redbeard. So I think that this is a unique collection. I bought it for about $43 off of eBay, and it came straight from China. It seems like the movies are actually straight from the Criterion collection, even though they don't say Criterion on them. They are the Criterion quality. So it was a unique buy, and I truthfully recommend this for all people if they really want a collection of Akiras. So that's one of my unique buys. There's a couple of collections of short films that are done up like not exactly anthologies, but they're connected together, and they're called Dark Stories, Tales from Beneath, and Dark Stories 2, Return to the Dark Side, and say hello once again to Terror and Mayhem. And the Dark Stories one is When the Curtain Goes Up, Let the Horror Begins. Those are the taglines in them. And there's, of course, Dark Stories 3, Tales from the Grave. Now, these are all short films that were put together from New Zealand that are kind of unique. Side, if you can see. So, and the back. And then there's this one too. And those all come under Platinum Disc, which is corporation, which is now, I believe, out of business. So those are kind of unique, and they're cool to find, and but I would definitely recommend at least the first and second one to check them out. The third one was actually hard to find, and I found the third one at Exclusive Company for about $2.99, and I think I bought this one for like $6.99 at Half Price Books. So you can find them whenever you can go out and collect them. So these are box sets, but these are actually kind of cool. These are actually from Wisconsin, and I'm from Wisconsin. When I helped Christopher House and Steven, who run Milwaukee Movie Talk, when I helped them sponsor their Twisted Dreams Festival, one of the short films that was selected to be viewed in their first year was called The Waiting Room. And this is directed by a guy called Ben Wideman. He's from Wisconsin. And he wrote a book called The Raymond James Chronicles. And then he created short films about the stories that were involved in the book. And then it so happens that I know one of the producers behind the films. His name is Adams, and he went to high school with myself. Adam Williams. Adam Williams was his name. So on these 2 volumes, Reflections, The Waiting Room, Demon in the Waiting Room, A Hot Summer Chill, and this one actually has my name supposedly in the special thanks section of it, but this one's called Morning in the Cemetery, and as a bonus feature on this volume 2 is an investigation that Ben Wideman did with Team OBI with dealing with an inn in Baraboo, Wisconsin, called the Old Baraboo Inn. So it was definitely a unique film dealing with some of the hauntings that it had to do with that. And basically, Raymond James is a man who can see the dead. And in order to cope with seeing these dead people, he drinks to forget. But then he meets this friend of his who helps him to go along his journey, and they're kind of like a supernatural type team. So, in any case, these were definitely unique and interesting, and you should definitely have these in your collection. So, volumes 1 and 2 of the Raymond James Chronicles, and the backs. You can actually find them probably under the company, which I'm sure you can find that out. So one of the campaigns that I was part of recently was for a film directed by a director called Dustin Rosemark. And I really like anything dealing with Dante's Inferno, or Dante's Divine Comedy, whatever. Well, this director, he's kind of a visual director, so he took and filmed this film in black and white, and used some narratives from Dante's Inferno itself, and created a film which was kind of like a silent film-ish type quality. And I've watched about half of this, and I'd like to watch more. It's definitely a different way of looking at the story of Dante's Inferno. It's more of a film that you kind of think of like an ink blot thing. So this is the special edition of the DVD, number 7 out of 100. So I think this is kind of unique. And then this is the second edition of his first film. And this was a documentary of kind of like some of the things that he has witnessed in life. And this one was in color. This one is 51 fragments of a wandering mind. And for roughly about $80, I got money to put towards this film, and got his earlier film in a second edition. So even though it's not a first edition, I still think it's unique, and I'm definitely going to keep these for quite some time. So these are definitely different films. I figured I'd share them with you, and vice versa. So I figure I'm sharing some old, some new. Of course, I also have the uncut version of a Serbian film. Now, I picked this up for $14.99 at an exclusive company here in Milwaukee, and it was definitely controversial. There's an actually earlier episode on Inside Movies Galore that will explain what I thought of the film. So I'm not going to talk more on the film, but it's definitely one of my favorites. So here is a set. It says Cinema Deluxe on it. It says Terror Pack, 6 classic tales of terror. And this is what the cover looks like, the side and the back. And on here, it's got the film The Baby, Crucible of Terror, Psychomania, The House of Seven Corpses, Horror Express, and The Mad Bomber. Now, Horror Express has Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it. That one's kind of a classic, dealing with the train and whatnot. But there's one film in particular that I wanted to talk about, which had Chuck Connors in it, and it was actually directed by a Wisconsin director. And his name, well, he's always been called Mr. Big, but he was the director of The Food of the Gods. He was director of The Earth versus the Spider, and so on and so forth. So I think this was definitely a interesting collection. It's The Mad Bomber is basically about a man who just is ticked off and keeps bombing the thing. So it was different. It was a different film. It was in the action genre. It was definitely in the 70s, which was kind of like on the brink of the 1950s, 60s monster films, which is what he was known for. So I definitely think this is a unique collection. If anything, try to find it. I picked this up for, I think, $11.99 at the downtown bookstore before it actually moved around the corner for they used to be like in a 3-level building, which was supposed to turn into a hotel. But as of right now, it is still not a hotel. So I think it's kind of bullshit that they had to move from that. And the people in charge of the building are assholes. They pretty much will go for the highest bidder, whoever will get the money, and that is the only thing they care about. They don't care about the fact that it was a unique spot and a unique place, and it had all these nooks and crannies. Yeah, you can tell I'm kind of pissed off about that, but in any case, that's an interesting collection. So, though I haven't gotten into any of the box sets yet, I figure I'll just go through film by film as I find it. So, the next thing I have is the March of the Wooden Soldiers, which had Laurel and Hardy in it. This is the version of the Babes in Toyland story, which has been made several times, but these two were a comedy team back in the early 30s to 40s. So sometimes they were relatively funny, and I've kind of tried to collect some of their earlier to later stuff, but some of their stuff is actually hard to find. So this one's in color. It has a couple of bonus episodes and stuff dealing with Christmas. I think this also has the original black and white version on it too. So it's kind of cool that I can do both on here. So that's kind of cool. The original Babes in Toyland. That's what it's called, or that's what it's based on. So, in any case, that is March of the Wooden Soldiers for you. All right. So, this is actually getting into some of the indie stuff that I have, and this is from a director in Wisconsin that I know personally. I helped get his IMDb page up, and I'm still somewhat working with him, but his name is Michael Butt. And he started to create a trilogy, kind of like, dealing with like this evil book with this evil town, and well, not evil town, but a cursed town. And so this is actually the sequel. It's called This Book is Cursed. And it stars him, and here's what the back reads. The survivors of the incident at the old Haney logging camp road swore they would never go back to that woods, but House did. Watch the terror unfold as his traumatic memories of last year's event came flooding back. And those memories are the least of their problems. Michael Butt is the director of Moron Productions. He has created other films. The first film to this film is called This Woods is Cursed. And he's also created films such as The Man with the Golden Hand, Vampire Ticks from Outer Space, Yetis, and right now I think he's working on a science fiction film of some sort. So we'll see what happens with that. But he originally signed it for me at the second festival that I was at with the Milwaukee Twisted Dreams. But as you can see, because he signed it on the plastic, it starting to fade. Two of the actors that acted in there too had signed it at the time, and that has also faded too. So, but this was the 7 of whatever, how many that he made. So, in any case, thank you for letting me share this with you. This is kind of interesting. There's some actors from Wisconsin in there. So, let's see. And they were somewhat relatively new. Let's see. So, one of the films that I recently had discussed with my group inside Movies Galore was Dario Argento's Suspiria. This is a limited edition 2-disc version from Anchor Bay, and they came out with 60,000 of these. This is number 35108. I think that's actually relatively a low number, and you can see the number. So it's definitely cool. It's got on its 3rd disc, I believe, is the Goblin soundtrack to it, which is an amazing soundtrack. So I think this is a very cool edition of Suspiria to have, though I'm still waiting for the Blue Underground or the Synapse release. This is definitely a cool thing to have. So there's the cover again. And yep, let's see. Also recently, we talked about Salo and the 120 Days of Sodom. This was directed by Pier Paolo Pasolini. Here's the cover of it, the back. This is a 2-disc Criterion release. This is also one of my favorite films, more or less because of the ribald tales that some of the older ladies are saying. It's basically a group of fundamental political figures take about maybe 15 or so girls, or 15 or so girls or boys, and hold them for about 120 days or something. So, and they subject them to many different forms of perversions, and it was kind of a weird film, but for some reason it just still shocks me with that circle of shit scene. So definitely on the list for me, at least sometime again in the future. Also, I also have from Pierre Pasolini. I have another Criterion release, which was very hard for me to come up with the money for, because the Criterion releases for some of these films are outrageously priced. I was only able to get it when Barnes and Noble had their like 50% off sale. So this was originally $60. It went down to 30. This is the Trilogy of Life. It's got it's a 4 DVD set. It's got the Decameron, the Canterbury Tales, and Arabian Nights. Now, everyone knows the original Canterbury Tales was actually left unfinished. So it's actually kind of interesting that he was able to create something from the Canterbury Tales. So I think that was kind of, and it's actually hard to describe these films too. When I first saw them, they were definitely weird. So having that, though, these and the Salo, those are my Pasolini films that I have. You can actually find a bunch of these anywhere, really. But these are cheap films to pick up. It's just hard to find where they are these days. It's with Saturn Productions, and it also says Beverly Wilshire Filmworks and Telefilms International. Now, I don't know what those are, but to me, they seem like bootlegs. But as you can see, they look very much like they were factory made. So this is called Double Dragon: The Last Duel. I have not seen it as of yet, or seen what kind of, visual that I have, but I'm sure it's similar to like a VHS quality, because it was definitely a film. So, but the cover makes it look unique. So I figure I'll check this out eventually. Looks kind of cool, hey? And I have a various few others of these, only because the titles don't exist on some of the multi-packs that I have. So, Double Dragon: The Last Duel. Another film that we recently watched was the first film from Rob Zombie, which is House of a Thousand Corpses, which is so different from his direct sequel, the Devil's Rejects. So, definitely, I mean, I like some of this film. I like how annoying Rob Zombie's wife is in here, and I like Sid Haig's character as he brings you through that tunnel and shows you some of the story of Dr. Satan and whatnot. But it is definitely a different feel than The Devil's Rejects, which is also a film that we talked about in the same episode. So this was his first release. I own it figured I'd talk a little bit about it. So, in any case, those are all the films that I'm going to show you for tonight. I'll talk more later as I go. I figure this was the starter. This was to show you a few things that I had, and I can build on more on this episode and talk more about other films. So hopefully you enjoyed this broadcast. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to me, and hopefully I could be heard, because sometimes this mic has not allowed me to talk that much. So in any case, hopefully you guys have a good evening and have a good rest of your afternoon. Hopefully you enjoy talking or hearing from me. Talk to you later.